Welcome back, everybody. This is Paul again from 2012crossing.com, and I've been making a series about astrology. It's a very controversial subject these days. A lot of people, they just hear the word astrology and all of a sudden they just get all freaked out and say all kinds of weird things. And people ask questions, well, how does it work? And they want a 2-minute answer, and if you don't give it to them, they go, well, you must be an idiot then. But all I can tell you is that, look, I've been studying astrology for a long time. I've also been interested in physics and all kinds of things like electronics and so on. And it's a very complicated subject. And if you want answers to a really complicated subject, you have to give it some thought. You have to really do some research. You have to participate and think about what other people have been saying about astrology for a really, really long time and why they might say it and so on. So, a lot of people, the first reaction, they say, well, you know, the stars don't affect me, this, you know, whatever. So, what I'm going to do is go through some really broad picture, big picture kinds of things, because in fact, you have to really get the big picture to understand what's really going on. For one thing, the people, like I said, who said, I don't believe in astrology, nothing affects me or whatever, I have to ask them, well, look, does the sun affect you? Do you think so? Does it affect your whole job? I mean, what about the moon? You think the moon affects you? Just so, take those two things. That's part of the ancient astrology system. They said, okay, the sun, the moon, there's something going on with the sun and moon, not just the moon by itself, not just the sun by itself, but the combination of the sun and the moon that allows all the timing, that allows the planets to grow, that allows the oceans to move, that allows the winds to happen, to allow something happening on the earth because of the interaction of the sun and the moon and the fact that we're actually in a very particular location in space. Again, the big picture is, what is astrology? I mean, if you try to figure out where is our location in space, and does it matter? Yes, it matters. It does matter where our location in space is, even though we may not believe it. We may be going to the mall or whatever, and hey, you know, the game's coming up and all that stuff, and you're just so focused on your daily activities, but you forget that your position in space matters right down to the nth degree, because if it wasn't for that sun being where it is in relation to the center of the galaxy, if it wasn't for the Earth's position, if it wasn't for the moon's position, if it wasn't for all those particular things in that particular season and that particular day, and the light is streaming a certain way and your body is functioning normally because of all the things that, like the water in your system, and everything's working fine, and because of all that complicated stuff, you are allowed to go to the mall and watch the game. So it affects us, everything affects us. We are being knit together. This is again a very, very broad principle, but in knitting together, the cosmic web, that if you think of these things as like, say, these planets, they have systems like Saturn, Jupiter, very, very powerful systems. Jupiter has a bunch of moons, for example. Saturn has some moons. Saturn has these are incredible systems. And they may be far from us, but they are spinning, and they're very, very powerful. If you want to have some strange effects in the solar system, just kind of knock Jupiter out, or Saturn, just toss it out of the system, or move its orbit a bit, and next thing you know, you're going to have some serious effects in the rest of the system. Our orbit might change. If our orbit changes, we may not be able to live here. So what I'm getting at is that you look at this whole matrix. I made a little thing here. This is about microcosm of the solar system. You have the various different orbits. They're going back and forth. And some of these planets, like Jupiter and Saturn, Neptune, they're massive. They're absolutely massive systems of their own. Powerful, powerful systems. Whatever they're doing up there, we're just going about our business. So, our position in space matters and timing matters. So that's why, for one thing, if nothing else, you take astrology and say it has to do with the timing. Where are we in space in relation to the sun and other things that might be affecting us? And if we know our position in space, we can calculate timing of different things, because if you notice that everything's spinning, the ancient systems have what they call the chakras of the gods. Our sun, for example, in their view, may be like the chakra, the heart chakra of a cosmic being. And in that chakra, there's a certain kind of energy spinning so that there's life going on there. on the Earth, there's an amazing kind of life going on here. Beautiful life on Earth because of the sun's position. So where is that in the big scheme of things? We have a system here. There's many other systems, and our systems interact. And again, these on the cosmic scale, even the Earth, the sun's polarity, the sun's rotation, the axis of rotation can slowly change. Just like our Earth changes, our Earth goes on a precessional cycle, and depending on where it is, it's pointing this way and that. Where is it in the cosmic lotus? Where is it in the position? Because, like I said, there's a cosmic thread. This is the weaving of the light energy, the electromagnetic energy, the gravitic energy, twists in space because of the big heavy masses that are moving through space, the changing the angles. A change in the orbit of one big planet in our system is going to change the whole system. So therefore, our very nature, basically, if you look at a rotating matrix that precipitates the forms and assembles things, if you look at even the regular theory of just the solar system is spinning around, and slowly but surely there's energy, there's material around it, and it starts to coalesce, and it becomes these planets. That's one theory of it. I happen to disagree with that. I think that's part of it, but I think there's a lot more to the whole story. So basically what I'm saying is that you look at the big picture, and you have a numerical system of rotation. You can calculate divisions in time. That means that once you have precision, even today we look at the atomic clock, we try to figure out how can we absolutely measure time. It's one thing to be able to check, determine like a split second, for example, a billionth of a second. But where does that particular billionth of a second stand in relation to, for example, where you're going to be standing on this earth right now? You might be standing in the same place a year from now. You say, I'm in the same place I was a year from now. No, you're not in the same place because the whole planet is in a different place. That place where you were was another part of the pedal of one of these rotations. That was yesterday. That was a year ago, whatever. You're not in the same place anymore, literally, even though you imagine, because our senses aren't focused on the big picture. Now, in long-term calculations that people did clearly for thousands of years, they made these incredible calculations. They said, look, here is a particular cycle where this particular type of energy or this particular thing is very significant because of the spatial ratios. Where are we in this lotus here? And apparently, in the long-term observation, it makes a difference because in 10,000 years ago, there is a whole lot of different stuff happening in the planet than what's happening now. We know that. We know that they live very differently. There's a lot of evidence of catastrophes and so on. So something happened. Something very different was going on because of these planets. Now, again, this is just sort of the broad picture. And basically, it spirals down into the smaller thing, as above, so below, where rotating energy just precipitates and allows us to even exist while we go to the mall and criticize the people who make YouTube videos. So while we're doing all that, there are subtle energies basically spinning the atoms. They're spinning the whole thing. The whole thing is just being knit together in this cosmic dance. And this has been said for a long time. So where do we stand here? Well, the humanity on the planet at a certain stage of the solar system's evolution are going to be in a different place, in a different way back then than they are now. And that's what we understand, that we are in a time and we're going through a focus point here, but I have to go on to the next segment. So thanks for watching.